Welcome back to Herb by Cod. Let's get through the major arcana. And I'm sorry it's been a while, but life happens. I've been rather busy. It hasn't been too humid all in all so far this summer, although we haven't humid today, and that's when I'm inside the most. So now the humid weather's back, I'll probably be back to getting these popped off so we can finish up at least with the major arcana. I'm not sure about going forward with the minor arcana because it's so time consuming and I really need to have the large subscribers for it to make it worth my while, and more and a lot of interaction with my viewers. I mean, I have my old standbys, but I'm talking like newer viewers, more people that are interested. Yeah, so let's get started. And if you notice my shoulder, and I will talk about this because it's important, is covered. You can see the oil on my shoulder. I was mowing yesterday actually, and I pushed the branch out of the way and I held on to it too long. And so my shoulder went like this. And it didn't seem that bad, but this is a shoulder that I had freeze up on me, which I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Several years ago now. It took several years to work out of it, so I'm afraid that's going to happen again. But what I have this time is foreknowledge. I have ice, and I have homemade arnica and a homemade comfrey. And the arnica should help. It helps relax the muscles. It helps relax those tightened tissues and helps with pain. And then the comfrey will mend and heal those irritated tissues. So hopefully I'll be back to myself in no time, and I'll have some fast healing, because let me tell you, it's the worst pain in the world, and you don't realize how much you use both arms, and especially somebody like me who is ambidextrous, it is quite upsetting. So hopefully it will be a speedy recovery. It's just tender right now when I move it, but the main thing is that I have to keep it moving no matter how tender it is, so that it doesn't freeze up on me. So that's enough about me, and we will get into, we're at the star now, so we're at Cottonwood. So we've got Cottonwood, and yeah, the star. So Cottonwood is actually what we know as poplars, or aspen if you're in the western states. So this is like your quaking aspen, your popular, we call them popular around here. So I will read from her book, and then I will read from Tree Magic and Tree Medicine by Ellen Evett Hoffman, and then I will talk about my own experiences with popular. Perhaps I'll do that first before I do the Ellen Evett Hoffman book. So let's see. Even this can be sore here. The Cottonwood, the star, popular species. Your broken pieces contain the stars of hope. Open your heart to grace. Be generous with your blessings. A bowl of smooth stones floats in the center of 8 deep green serrated cottonwood leaves arranged in a star pattern. Knobby young twigs full of resinous buds reach out like an old witch's hand holding the mandala. And I think this little book is very hard to read. It's not smooth at all. At first I was thinking with me, and I'm not the greatest speaker and stuff, but this is not written very well. 7 cottonwood stars coins cut from the broken branches are arranged in the corners of the offering. The deep blue water reflects the stars in the night sky. Hope can be found in the darkest moments. Have faith and believe in possibility. As the appearance of a cottonwood tree means water is near, so is inspiration close. You may not see it right away. Stay optimistic. Close your eyes and listen for the sound of the rushing river. Cottonwood trunks are marked by scars from harsh weather, yet cottonwood leaves shimmer like gold lights against a stark blue sky. Your wounds may run deep, but wholeness still shines from within. When you encounter grace, be generous with your blessings, the way cottonwood trees are generous with their seeds. Crafting with the star. Break cottonwood twigs to discover the stars. Use them in amulets, magic, and altarpieces to give you hope when you are most in need. Take a contemplative walk in nature and listen for the flutter of the leaves. Make cottonwood bud oil for joint and muscle aches. Rub it over your heart to ease emotional pain. So where I live, along the old railroad bed, I'm going to put the card down now, we have cottonwood, we have poplars. We call them poplars. We don't call them cottonwoods. I think actually they're called cottonwoods in the middle part of the country, like on the Great Plains, in the areas where they grow along the streams. And they do. They love to grow near water. And we live in a watery area. You know, the times we have water on our field in the spring. So they grow along the old railroad bed, and they've gotten quite tall. And they're quite beautiful, and they're quite, I love the way the leaves rustle, you know, in the wind. They have this really rustling noise, and then usually bright yellow in the fall. And I will try to get a video of our poplars, and so you can see what they look like. One of my greatest memories is sitting upstairs in the afternoon with the sun coming through the west window. And I can remember the sun's coming through the west window, and it's showing the shade. There's a shade of the outline, the shade of the popular leaves on the wall. And I can remember being told, and I was quite old at the time, being fascinated by the leaves and the pattern that they made on the wall and how the wind would blow them. And I wished I could have captured that somehow, either painted it or photographed it. But I just remember being so in the moment and so blessed to be able to see the shadow on the wall. And it was such an out-of-body experience, for a lack of a better word. It was just a deep connection with nature, and like it was blessing my home, blessing my space, because upstairs has always been my space since at least a teenager or a preteen. So yeah, that was great. Also, I do know, if you know anything about Native American culture, the Sundance, which is held this time of the year in August, is very sacred ceremony. And they use traditionally, it is a cottonwood tree that they erect in the center of the arbor. And that is a central focus point for the whole Sundance. And to cut the cottonwood tree, it cannot touch the ground when they cut it from Mother Nature. And then it is in a place of honor in the center of the arbor. Now, I haven't been privileged to see an actual Sundance, but I have known many Sundancers. And it was something I didn't totally appreciate until I met actual sun dancers and understood their sacrifice that the sun dance is. I won't go into details here. It's not my responsibility to go into details, but you can find out about what it is. But I totally understand the sacredness of it. If I hadn't met sun dancers, I totally understand the sacredness of it in a way that I couldn't without meeting these people. So by them doing the sun dance and then bringing that medicine out in the world, they are really touching everybody. And that all begins with the cottonwood tree. So there is a balsam popular, and that's the one that is called Balm of Gilead, and it has the spruce-like qualities to it. Trembling poplar transcends fear. So that makes perfect sense why it would be used in a sun dance, because you have to face a lot of your fears and you have to release and trust in your higher power to make it through the ceremony. But it's called balsam because it smells like balsam, but balsam is that pine scent. So it has that pine scent. And you can only gather them in a specific time of the year, very early spring. I've never really seen them around here. I've never seen the buds on the trees because it's usually deep winter when they bud out here still. It's like late February, early March when the trees start to put the buds out. And it's got to be the right tree, and I don't believe we have that type here in New England. But the tree favors moist valleys, and its ranges from Labrador to Alaska, south from Pennsylvania, and west to Colorado. It grows in high altitudes, and that's why I don't think we have it in my area where we live. But with the way species have really been growing in different zones and everything, it could be in the higher elevations up in the mountains areas of our state, most. And then there's the black poplar, which was originally from Europe and Western Asia, and it was cultivated in Italy. It's a fast-growing but short-lived. That could be what common across the United States. I think that's what we have for poplar because they grow really quickly. I can attest to that. And then, of course, I talked about the aspen. The trembling aspen, the quaking aspen, that everybody knows about those, or at least they grow in the Rockies. They're quite popular. And I talked to you about the sacredness to the Native Americans in their sun dance. So, poplar is similar to willow in its therapeutic use and is considered superior for a treatment of fevers such as malaria. Like in the willow, it is rich in salicin, the chemical basis for aspirin, like I've talked about before if you listen. Old homeopaths and pharmacists made an alcohol tincture of fresh inner bark of quaking aspen, which they treated fever, jaundice, and worms. Quaking aspen, or white poplar, is used to treat fevers, urinary infections, kidney weakness, gonorrhea, uterine problems, chronic diarrhea, diabetes, hay fever. It is laxing to the intestine and relieves headaches caused by liver congestion. That makes sense. Let's see. Tea made of poplar bark is good for coughs and excellent gargle for the sore throat. The tea can be used externally as a wash for inflammation, cuts, wounds, and burns. A salve can be produced by boiling the buds in olive oil and adding 4 tablespoons of melted beeswax for each cup of oil. I would not boil olive oil. I would steam it in a double boiler where the water's simmering underneath, but I would never boil olive oil. I mean, I made salves, and I worked in a place that made salves, and we did not boil the olive oil. It was always a slow simmer. So don't boil it. Don't boil your olive oil to make salves. I don't recommend it. Simmer it, or better yet, you put the plant in the oil and let it set. That will work too. Balm of Gilead is used in the same way, and that's Balm of Gilead. It's the buds of the Populus candidus. Candia cans. I think it's pronounced Candia cans because it's like Canada. Okay, it's used in much the same way. The resinous buds are boiled in water to create a remedy rich in vitamin C, a stimulating tonic for lung, stomach, and kidney conditions. Because of the salicin it contains, will also help ease rheumatic pains. A salve made with the buds, olive oil, and beeswax will help heal bruises, swellings, and skin conditions. And I also believe it's good for sore muscles. I remember seeing that somewhere, that it's really, well, it would be because it contains a salicin. So it would be something like putting, aspercreme, lack of a better term, on your skin, It's going to get absorbed through your skin. Black poplar leaves are crushed with vinegar and applied as a poultice. So there's many ways that you can use poplar leaves, and one way that I utilized poplar leaves was as a dye. Yes, the leaves can be used as a dye. They make a yellow or a green depending on the mordant used. I utilized a tree, and I'll do a little walk and I'll show you that at some point when it's not so humid. A tree got knocked down by a vehicle on our property, and I gathered a lot of the leaves from it, and that actually gave me a really pretty green. And I believe I used an alum mordant. I didn't use a copper mordant, which would make it a greenish color. It was actually the leaves. They had set on the dead tree. Obviously the tree was dead because it was knocked down. So the leaves that I gathered from that had set a while, and I got a really nice green. So it's really fun that way. But it's really a sacred tree, and to me it has a lot of magic to it. It's really quite beautiful. It grows really tall. It's really pretty looking, and it grows rapidly. So, until next time, give me a thumbs up, share out my videos. Many blessings. Remember to get yourself out into the wild and to be wild.